We have one recently that we just wrote, 5-truck operation out of Colorado. Guy was with Progressive. He was with the assigned risk pool, which is to me is absolutely crazy because those rates are 40-50% higher. He was paying 28 grand on his workers' comp. Our quote was 13,500. He was paying 210,000 in his total insurance spend, and our quote was 137,000. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, pretty good, Toby. How are you?
Yeah, doing well.
Good to finally meet you.
Nice meeting you as well.
Yeah, well, I'm really excited about this meeting to see what we can learn from you and hopefully help our customers out even more. So we're going to do some introductions here and see what we can learn about insurance today. I'm really glad to have you on our Zoom call here. And I've got some questions for you. So Toby, to get started, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and introduce yourself to our audience and so they can know who you are?
Sure. I'm Toby Stubbs. I'm with Wisdom Insurance Agency. We started in 2013 and wrote our first junk removal account in 2015.
Okay.
And by 2020, junk removal and dumpster rental was exclusively all we're working on. So that's really our specialty.
Okay. Well, that's very good. So just for our audience here, one of the reasons I wanted to do this with you, I've never met you in person yet, but one of the questions that we get asked a lot is when we sell trucks here is they're like, insurance is a big issue. And it's in that way probably in any industry. But we really run into it a lot where we've lost deals because a guy went to get his quote and he said, hey, the insurance is just too high. Some of these large insurance companies didn't understand what I was doing. And sometimes we wonder, did they misclassify what their business really truly was? And so we've been kind of on a search here. Who are some good insurance people? And we've been working back and forth. I know that you have gotten some of our customers their insurance that they needed. And it sounds like some good rates. So this is really to help our customers be able to overcome another obstacle. And I'm really hoping that, Toby, that you can do that. And that's why I'm excited about this call today, to figure out who you are and what can you do for this industry. This is a big industry. There's a lot of people in this market industry, and insurance is a really important part of their business because they have to be properly insured. And they have to still be able to get insurance that is going to make financial sense to them and not be so expensive that they can't handle it. So, well, we're going to dive into, I've got some questions here for you, Toby. And I think to get started here, tell me even a little bit more about yourself. Like, what are some fun things that you enjoy doing away from work? Like I want people to know what do you do outside of work?
Yeah, so I'm a real Bengals psycho fan. So I'm a season ticket holder. I'm originally from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Okay.
So even though I live in Chicago now, which is a great football city,
Yep.
and I've been to Packers games, I've been to Bears games, I've been to all kinds of different sporting events. I've been to every playoff game Joe Burrow's ever played in, which is fun. Different fact. And then outside of that, I really enjoy competitive fishing. So I've fished professional muskie tournament trail for 7 years. I took a year or two off, but I'm going back this next year. So that's kind of the breakdown of the 2 minute of who I am and what I do.
Wow. Well, that's neat to hear. I always like to hear from people what they do away from work. And it sounds like you've got a lot going on. You're busy. So sports is the farthest thing from me. I'm not a sports guy at all. So you could lose me in just about anything you're talking about there. But fishing, I can relate to that a little bit. But that's neat to know that. Yeah. So very good. So you're in Chicago. That's where you currently live, is in Chicago.
Yeah, so I'm in the Chicago suburbs. Our agency is based out of Wisconsin because when I originally started, we had a non-compete. So we've got about 8-9 employees now, and everybody works remotely. And it works for us. It's not for everybody. I get that, but for our operation, and we're really, because we have such a nationwide reach, we're not meeting face to face with a lot of our
Yes.
clients. I probably do 3 or 4 of those different conferences a year where I'm just going around and either setting up a booth or just attending. And it's a blast because you get to see, 20, 30 clients all at once, and that's a rare opportunity.
Yeah.
So, but I really enjoy doing that and getting out and just talking about the unique risk factors with junk removal and dumpster
Sure.
rental.
Yep.
So
So now, if I understand it correctly, you are primarily focused just in this one industry, correct? I mean, you don't do anything outside of that.
yeah, so we started as like a construction contractor type of operation. We did that for several years, and we do have a decent sized book of that business in the Chicagoland and Milwaukee areas. But once we discovered junk removal and dumpster rental, then came kind of later.
Okay.
What we found was that it was an extremely um, uh, neglected insurance marketplace. There weren't really good resources to be able to go online and find content or information. The local broker just has no idea what to call it or how to classify junk removal. They don't know, then because of that, they don't know what insurance carriers to go to in order to place the coverage. And so what ends up happening is you reach out to your local insurance people. They bang their head against the wall trying to find a place or a
Yes.
home for the coverage, and they end up with either one completely outlandish quotes
Yes.
or little to no options at all. So, just figuring out all those details and helping people to navigate that space is what we really specialize in.
Yeah, that's good information because I really like that you're dialed in on one industry, because if you're that dialed in on it, you should know what you're doing by now. And I think that's why you could add a lot of value to our customers in getting them insurance, because you work in this industry and that's all you do. So that's really good. Well, I've got a list of questions that I want to throw at you. We'll spend a few minutes on each one. So what are the biggest insurance mistakes dumpster rental companies make when they're shopping for coverage for their first company? Like, what are some of the mistakes that you see?
I would say the business classification is
Okay.
probably the biggest one. One of the other big issues that people don't realize or think about is how they're classifying their business from a
Yes.
DOT standpoint. So, with the DOT filings, there's a couple of different factors that come into play with regards to the cargo being carried. So a lot of times, and we see wildly different items being selected. We'll see everything from construction to bolt, logs, beams, lumber, household goods. And the reality is, our clients aren't really transporting those items. A lot of times, those are items intended for companies that are transporting items of value, and our clients are just transferring garbage and trash. So really, with these classifications, a lot of times less is more, especially when it comes to the insurance and the way that the insurance company is going to classify the business. And if they're filed with the DOT for certain filings, then the insurance carrier is going to make those assumptions that they
Right.
are transporting items of value. They're delivering appliances or delivering construction materials, or they're transporting goods, hauling goods for hire, like transporting, mulch and just
Yes.
those types of operations. So really, when it comes to those DOT filings, I mean, you want to keep it as simple as possible, and you want to file as just garbage and refuse, or even better, one step better would be to write in your own cargo carried as roll on, roll off dumpster. Because then you can't really dispute what you're transporting. And sometimes you're only hauling the dumpsters, you're only hauling the cans. The cans are empty. That's half of the time that you're hauling. So The other issue is whether or not you're authority for hire or whether you're hauling private property, right? Because most of our clients, the minute they leave the client's property, the homeowner's house or the small business, location, they own everything that they have in the dumpster. Where they take that, whether they take that to the dump or the transfer station or back to a warehouse location and sort it and then distribute it out, that's 100% their own item. So a lot of times we'll see discrepancies with that then can later impact the insurance and the insurance costs. So every little decision with regards to how you set that up and classify it makes an impact later down the line. So I would say that would be the biggest thing. The other biggest thing is our dumpster rental guys end up in the wrong commercial insurance classification. They end up in garbage or trash or some type of business classification that results in higher rates as a result of not really explaining it correctly to the insurance agent, or the insurance agent asks questions that leads the client down a path that where they think that they're giving the right accurate answers, and they end up in the wrong business classification. So those are a couple of critical mistakes. We've seen everything, though. We've seen crazy. Most guys are local, and it doesn't financially make sense for you to deviate outside of that 25 to 50 mile radius. But we've seen clients with 300 mile radiuses, 500-mile radius on their insurance application, and that causes a higher premium as a result of that longer exposure. And for example, Progressive alone, as long as 90% or more of your operation is within that certain mile radius, then you qualify for that radius. So it's just, again, you don't know what you don't know. So if you end up trying to navigate that space on your own, you end up with quotes that can be, drastically different from one agent to the next, quoting the exact same carrier. And the way Progressive works, that's just a computer. So you're basically putting the info in, it spits out a quote. Technically, all agents should have the same quote. Where it's different is in that information that you're inputting in. So the devil is absolutely in the details when it comes to quoting and rating these businesses.
Wow, that's interesting. So what I hear from you, Toby, is basically, what the customer believes he needs might not be exactly what he needs, because he's talking to someone that doesn't know for sure how to properly classify what he's doing. But because you work in this industry solely, you can turn around and say, Mr. Customer, this is what you got to do. Tell me about your business. Tell me your business model. Tell me what you're hauling. And I can tailor this to fit you to hopefully save you money.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
That's exactly right. So
wow.
We know not only just exactly what to call it, but exactly what to call it with each carrier, because each carrier has different guidelines and different, business classifications, and they allow for certain things that other companies don't. A great example is Next Insurance. Next is wildly popular. A lot of people have Next. We sell Next Insurance, but what they don't allow is for multiple risks to be on the same policy. So if you're doing both junk removal and dumpster rental, you're not a good fit for Next. Now, if you're 100% dumpster rental or 100% junk removal, you're a great fit for Next. Okay. You're a great client of theirs. But it's just knowing and understanding those little nuances. Next also denies demolition claims. So if you're a junk removal guy and you're dropping small sheds, sawzawing up hot tubs, ripping flooring out, pulling cabinets down, doing all those types of risks, those would be considered demolition operations, and you could potentially be denied on a claim if you have Next and you're doing those types of activities. So knowing and understanding how to navigate, and we know because we've seen a million claims. We've seen a million claims get paid out correctly, and we've seen a million claims go sideways and get denied, or only partially paid out. And so it's really helping the small business owner to navigate that space that
Yeah.
we do exceptionally well.
Yeah, because that's the last thing any customer needs is to have a claim and be denied because he wasn't properly classified or he didn't have the right coverage or the incorrect. So, wow, that's a really important thing because there's no reason to pay all this money and then get denied a claim because it wasn't put in place properly. So
Well,
very
yeah.
good.
I mean, at that point, why even
Yeah,
pay the premium? If you're
exactly.
completely incorrectly classified, we had a guy who was classified as a trucker, and they were a junk removal company. They were carrying the fridge down some stairs, and they tripped at the bottom of the stairs and dropped the fridge on top of a car, smashed the car, $25,000 worth of damage to the car.
Wow.
And the claim was denied because they were classified as a trucker, and your commercial auto is supposed to cover you while you're in the act of loading and unloading. So, because they were loading the truck with the fridge, they were in the act of loading and unloading. Their general liability carrier denied the claim because it's supposed to be covered under the commercial auto. And then the commercial auto carrier denied the claim because they were misclassified as trucker. And that trucker classification specifically is not supposed to have a loading and unloading risk exposure. So
Yeah.
the carrier said, "Hey, this is a material, mistake," and they denied that claim. So those are the types of scenarios where once you see them over time, you go, "Oh wow." Luckily that client wasn't with us. That they experienced that on their own,
Mm-hmm.
and then we took over their
Okay.
insurance policy and fixed it for them. Ironically, they were paying 36,000 for their commercial auto at the time. When we reclassified them, their premium actually went down to 25,000. When
Really?
so not only were they paying all that money, they got their claim denied, but they were also overpaying as a result of misclassification.
And we hear that a lot. There's a lot of horror stories out there. I hate to tell you, Toby, but nobody really likes the insurance people. They're like a dentist. We all hate them, but we got to have them.
I get
And
every time my bill comes for my insurance, I go, "Damn you, insurance companies!" But then I remember I make a living off of it, so I quickly get over that. But yeah,
yeah,
no, I totally agree. I 100%
yeah,
get it, and yeah, you're absolutely right.
yeah. But yeah, we got to have insurance and we got to have the right setup that works for us. So when there is a claim, it gets covered. So can you tell me a little bit, can you explain the key coverages dumpster rental companies should look for in a policy? Like, what are some key coverages? And we're talking about dumpster rental company. That's who most of our customers are.
Yeah, so I would say right out of the gates, the biggest two to get started, if you're a brand new startup, you have to have general liability.
Okay?
So that's going to cover third party bodily injury and property damage.
Yes.
And then you have to have commercial auto. Those are the two biggest
Okay.
items. Whether you're classifying the cab and chassis and then the permanently attached equipment like the hook lift or cable winch system or the bed, however you set that up and structure that is critical as well when it comes to the coverage responding correctly. But those are really the two core. Now, beyond that, once you add employees, now you introduce workers'
Yes.
compensation. If you're working with commercial risk exposures that require a commercial umbrella, you'll need a commercial umbrella, which just goes over the commercial auto, the general liability, and the workers' comp. And then another very common coverage for the specific industry of dumpster rental is inland marine coverage. So that's going to cover your dumpsters. If you have a loan or a lien that you're taking out on the dumpsters, the bank will require that their assets protected. So they're
Yes.
going to want to see that you've got coverage on that particular asset. Sometimes people will have property risk exposures where they're leasing a space and they'll need, business personal property to cover their location, or they'll buy a building eventually and grow into a building, so they'll need coverage for that. Pollution liability. I
Oh,
mean, ideally at the end of the day, everybody should have some minimal amount of coverage. I mean, if you're transporting something knowingly or unknowingly, ultimately you're going to be held responsible for that. They call it from cradle to grave.
mhm.
So if you're anybody who touches anything that is a pollutant, it gets brought into those types of lawsuits. So I would say that's insurance 201. Insurance 101 is your general liability and your auto. Get
Okay.
started. Maybe work comp if you have employees. Insurance 201 is you add these additional types of coverages to cover your business when and if you can afford them. Right.
Okay.
Another common one is employment practices liability insurance. So that covers wrongful termination, discrimination due to age, sex, race, religion, you know, cyber liability. If somebody hacks into all of your computers and steals all of your client information, your credit card information, if they put ransomware on your
Mhm.
laptop so you can't operate, so you have to unwind all of that. Those events are very costly. We see some wild claims with cyber crimes and
I
such that are
see.
really on the rise. I mean, we see that as probably the biggest increase in terms of risk
Mhm.
exposure from just people hacking small businesses, and it can be devastating to a business. So having all those types of coverages, those are, I would consider those to be kind of ancillary
Yeah.
coverages, but there's something to take into consideration.
Okay, that's very good. What are some things that determine the insurance rates? Like, is it, their driving history, type of trucks, their claim history? What drives up the rate or lowers the rate?
Yeah, I would say one of the biggest ones is credit rating for the business owner.
Okay.
That's a big factor nowadays because if you prove yourself to be fiscally responsible in general, insurance companies recognize that. Your driver history, the average age of your overall driver's list,
Okay.
and their experience is critical. Use of telematics and driver facing and forward facing cameras, all that really helps.
Okay.
Um, the out of state driver's license issue. I mean, there's so many different factors that go into it. It's you want to create best in practice type of operation. So you want to have a formal written safety program. You want to do
Okay.
weekly toolbox talks. You want to do check-ins and checkouts on your vehicles. You want to know whether or not the tires are full, the tread depth, the
Yes.
all the safety items that go into running and operating a commercial vehicle. You want to have the right checks and balances. And when you're a better risk than a company that's doing the exact same thing that doesn't have all of those programs in place, it's a lot easier to negotiate that with the insurance underwriters when we go to price the account and handle those negotiations. So I would say those controls. If you're using subcontractors, having subcontractor agreements in place, obtaining certificates of insurance from third parties, listing you as additional insured, all of those types of items are really important factors. And then just not hiring, drivers with bad driving
Yeah.
records and accidents and tickets. And,
Yep.
a 20-year-old driver is going to have a tougher time
Yes.
than a more seasoned, experienced, CDL driver. So just when everything else is equal, and not all markets, yeah, I mean, sometimes the business owner is a 20-year-old driver, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes those risk factors are just unavoidable, but it's just getting an idea and understanding how to navigate that space. And that's something we really try to do with each client is train and educate them on what those risk factors are in the beginning so that they're making business decisions along the way that where they're able to employ those best practices.
Wow, that's good information. Very good. Is there any discounts or programs that dumpster rental companies can take advantage of that you might have partially answered that question, but is there anything out there?
Yeah, so I mean the big one with Progressive, and they offer this to all clients, is the use of their Snapshot ProView program. You get a guaranteed 5% discount for participating in it. They mail you out a device, you plug it into the port on the truck. It tracks and monitors your driving behavior, and you can qualify up to a 20% discount. So an additional 15% based off of positive driving. They don't take adverse action against you, so they can't raise your rates and they don't cancel you as a result of participating. And they just apply the discount to your bill organically after 3 or 4 months of participating in the program. So that's a big one, right? I talk to people that are with Progressive all the time. They don't even know that that exists.
Oh.
And if you're paying 15, 20 grand a truck, 10 grand a truck, you're talking about thousands and thousands of dollars at the end of the day.
Yes.
And that type of stuff adds up. I would say the other one that people don't take advantage of nearly enough is the pay in full discount. So you can opt for a 6-month policy and pay that 6-month policy in full and save 10 to 15% on the policy. So maybe you can't do that in the beginning because financially the cash flow is not there, but that's something you should be shifting to as you build and grow and develop to be able to absorb that, $20,000-$30,000 6-month bill. If you're paying 50 grand a year and you can manage the 25,000 and you're going to save, 4 or 5 grand
Yes.
or 3-4 grand every 6 months as a result of paying in full. Absolutely. That is a good way that the insurance companies incentivize companies because cash is king and they know that. And if they can collect all that premium up front, they offer big discounts to do that. So I would say that's another one that's way underutilized.
Okay. Very good. All right, switching gears just a little bit here. So some of these larger insurance companies, why do they often fail to meet the needs of dumpster rental businesses? What are some things that they fall short on?
And by that question, can you expand on that question a little more to help me to understand exactly what you're asking there?
Well, you might have covered it already earlier, but I'm thinking about some of these large insurance companies where they're literally, it's a computer, you plug in the data, it spits it back out. And I think you touched on some of that. They don't understand, maybe the business owner is not putting in the right information. So sometimes we hear that, this guy gets a ridiculous quote back and he cannot figure out, why am I paying $30,000 a year for one truck?
Right.
So what would drive up such an insane quote?
It would be either, it's probably the rating risk factors that are being entered. So it's either a bad driver history, it's poor credit on the business owner, or it could be getting into the wrong business classification that's causing that. But those are, I don't know if I would be looking at the larger insurance companies as being responsible for that as much as I would say it's connecting and getting to a broker who is knowledgeable and educated on the space that can help you navigate that space consistently over time. If you're just going on Progressive and entering the information yourself, you have no clue whether you're inputting a rating factor that's causing you harm or helping you from a risk standpoint. So it really just depends on the carrier and how you're getting to those different insurance companies.
I guess another way to spin that question too is like, so some of these really large insurance companies, do they offer the support to the customer if there is a claim or an issue? Like, let's say the customer he calls in, I've got a problem, I've got a complaint, I've got a claim. Is there anything you can shed light on? Is there, a smaller insurance broker that's better than some of the big ones for those reasons?
I think it just depends on the experience and the expertise, right? And the insurance carrier is kind of like the order taker,
Mm-hmm.
but the one who creates and crafts the insurance program is the broker. So if it's a carrier and some carriers work direct, and their advisors just don't really care, or they're not educated,
Okay.
or they're just trying to get a sale. So they're not asking questions as to what the net worth is of the business owner, what their asset and background
Mm-hmm.
is. They may just offer a low limit as a result of just trying to get a sale. So when you've got really you've got to take into consideration all the different factors, and you've got to get to a broker that really does that. I mean, do they need to be at a monster brokerage
Mm-hmm.
firm? I mean, some of the best insurance agents I've ever met have been in smaller firms, doing and managing their own gig. And I've also seen brokers at super large insurance agencies that really don't know anything, and it's
Yeah.
alarming. So those are some big items I think to watch for when reviewing and analyzing different carriers.
Okay. Wow, good. So one of the things we get a lot here is it's a new startup company. They're going to get into they got this dream. They want to get into the dumpster business and they want to buy their first truck. What is a piece of advice that you would give to that guy that's looking to get in the business and he needs insurance? He's a brand new startup. What's a piece of advice you'd give him?
Well, when it comes to it being insurance related, it's do due diligence first,
Okay.
right? Know exactly what your dump fees are, know exactly what your pricing model is, do quote out your insurance. We can provide quotes to clients that are looking to purchase vehicles before they ever buy those, by just taking their actual info, their driver's license, their garaging location, their business location. Take even if they don't have an EIN number, we can enter all nines
Mm-hmm.
on the EIN number, and we can still get a quote back for an M2 or an F600
There
or
you go.
whatever you call it. We can get quotes on all those and provide people with actual sample quotes so they know and understand. I mean, within a reasonable amount, might be off by 10 or 20% if you
Sure.
go with a higher GVW truck, or you add a bunch of coverage that, or go with a different deductible. Okay, all those items will change the quote. But if we've got your basic info, your driver info, your garaging location, and then a sample VIN, we can absolutely run quote. So now okay, it's 20 grand a truck in Florida. It's 15 grand a truck in
Mm-hmm.
Texas. It's 12 grand a truck and you've got an idea of where you're actually going to be financially from a cost standpoint. But yeah, that's something you can't get surprised on later
Yes.
down the
Yeah.
road.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden you're shocked because the best quote you can get is 25, 30 grand a truck. Hey, that's a real problem,
Yeah.
right? It is wildly different depending on what state you're in and what the
Okay.
laws are, what the litigate, what happens in litigation with insurance companies and the legal climate. Um, when we first started, Georgia was like one of our best states cost wise. Texas was, and then over time, that dramatically changed. In the last 10 years, that's completely shifted. And those states are some of our most difficult states now. So you look at what the cost is in your particular area. If you're rural or you're in the city, all those.
Hmm.
If you're in downtown Chicago, you got a very different rate than middle of nowhere Illinois.
Right.
So figuring out what those actually cost, what those
Yeah.
actual costs look like, and navigating that is absolutely something you can do your homework on. So that I would say that is my biggest recommendation for a startup is do your homework, do your due diligence,
Yes.
get actual quotes based on sample VINs. And when you get the actual vehicle delivered, you can true up the quote with the correct VIN.
Yeah. Well, guys get really excited about when they're thinking about a new business. They want to get, what's a new truck going to cost me? How much are the dumpsters going to cost me? They, cost to build a website. But sometimes they forget all about the insurance until they've agreed to buy the truck. And it's very frustrating for me as a salesman to do the whole process with a guy, and then he gets down and says, oh, I got this ridiculous quote. I can't follow through with it. So that's good advice. So what I hear you saying, Toby, is, it's just one of the factors in starting your new business is get your insurance quote. Even though you don't have all the things together, every piece of information, basic vehicle information is going to get you a good quote. So I like that. That's good advice. So make that part of these guys are starting out, make it part of their package like that. Get that insurance quote so they know exactly what it's going to be. So, Toby, can you share with us a success story that you've had personally with a company that improved their coverage or saved money by making a smarter insurance decision?
Yeah, we have one recently that we just wrote. 5 truck operation out of Colorado. Guy was with Progressive. We quoted and moved him to another carrier. We were able to consolidate the general liability, the commercial auto, the commercial umbrella, and then we did the workers' comp monoline. He was with the assigned risk pool in Colorado, which is to me is absolutely crazy because those rates are 40-50% higher. He was paying 28 grand on his workers' comp. Our quote was 13,500. He was paying 210,000 in his total insurance spend, and our quote was 137,000. So we just wrote that last month. I
Really?
mean, we've got 1 or 2 examples a month where we're doing that consistently on a consistent basis, where we're
Really?
seeing dramatically differences in how the vehicles are classified, where they carry, how you go about shopping the insurance. So I would say it's those success stories that just keep us excited and going and plowing forward. And are the insurance companies still taking rate? Yeah, of course they are. They're still taking their 10 or 20%. They do that every year, but and even and I wouldn't even consider that to be inching it up, but they inch it up over time, and an inch and an inch and an inch becomes a yard. And if
Yes.
you have no other option in your market space, you don't know or realize how far priced you are outside of what you should be paying. And so our ability to be able to provide multiple options in any state in any environment is, I think, what makes us different from other agencies in the sense that we're able to consistently deliver over time competitive insurance premiums and help people to keep their costs down. And whether that's through shopping insurance or customized coverages or getting claims covered that would otherwise be denied, those types of successes are that's our measuring stick for success, I would say. And
Wow.
we do it, I think, better in this industry than anybody else in the country. I don't know of anybody else who's out there doing what I'm doing.
Yeah.
It's
I don't
not like
either.
I have like one competitor where I'm like, damn you, I see them all the time and I'm like, oh, I hate that guy. I wish I had that. I don't know of anybody else who's really,
Wow.
in this space consistently over time. And, again, we've been doing this for almost 10 years. Yeah, 10 years
10
now
years.
as of 2025. I mean, that's wild to be specializing in one or two industries for a full decade. Yeah, I think we do it very well.
Good.
So.
Well, for doing it that long, you better have it figured out by now. If you don't, there's something wrong. But listening to you, I'm thinking maybe I should start an insurance company so I'm a direct competitor against you. I can't imagine being in a business where there's no competition. So that's wonderful. I'm happy for you. And thinking about your success stories that you've shared there, when a company is paying up here in insurance and they save this much, that goes right to the bottom line. I mean, that goes right to your net profit. And every business needs to be looking for those ways to drive more margin to the bottom line. So if you're making it up here and you can save on insurance and not get denied a claim, that's really big.
We had a guy in Houston. We saved him. He was with Progressive. Uh, he was just grossly misclassified.
Yep.
So we did what's called an agent of record letter, where we just took over his policy. We reclassified the business, and as a result of that, the guy had two trucks. He was paying $107,000 for two trucks. 107. We
Really?
reclassified the business, and his premium adjusted to 51,000. So he saved 56,000 as a result of that business misclassification. Um, he was then able to buy a third truck
Sure.
that year. And when we reviewed his insurance at renewal, and it did go up to maybe 30 grand a truck. It went from 25 to 30 grand at renewal. So it was about 90,000 for the three trucks. But he said to me in that meeting, I don't buy that extra truck and put that extra truck on the road and don't grow nearly as fast as I did without saving that 56,000 on the insurance. So those are the types of impacts you're having on people's businesses as a result of saving them that kind of money on their insurance. And that I love it. I mean, it's
Wow.
why I love what I do.
Sure.
I'm a math guy. I'm an equation guy, and so yeah, I have a math background. And when I figured this industry out in the way that I did, I just went, oh yeah, this is to me, it's very rewarding to be able
Wow,
to
that's
make
good.
that type of impact and have that type of impact on somebody's business.
That's wonderful. Toby, I mean, you've been like a fire hose here. You have just poured the information to me and hopefully to our audience. I learned a lot through this. There was a lot about the insurance part that I didn't realize. And it's a really important key for any business to be successful is to have the right insurance. So, we're going to wrap this up here. I think, what I've learned is that you got to find the right person to partner up with on insurance. Get the right classification, make sure that no loopholes are being missed so that you get the right coverage, because you can't have claims denied, and getting that premium down as much as possible. So is there anything else you'd like to share with us before we wrap this up?
Yeah, no, thanks so much for having me
Oh,
on. Really appreciate it. Your
absolutely.
successes and wins are my wins.
Yes.
You sell more trucks,
Oh,
I
yeah.
insure them. Hey, I love it.
Yeah.
For me, we want to try to help you and your customers as much as possible, because we know that then means more wins for you. If we can keep the insurance piece down, you're putting more trucks on the road, and the client
100%.
is able to obtain their version of success that much more quickly. Hey, it's a win-win-win scenario.
That's
So
right.
I love it. It's always great for me to connect and meet with people like yourself and to have connections within the industry. So I love it. I love your story, how you guys, really focus and specialize on in the same industry. And it's been great meeting you, and
Yes.
appreciate the opportunity to come on and connect with your future customers and current clients.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah, I mean, I think that's what sets you apart is that you're in one industry, and that's exactly what we do here. We do one thing. We build these hook lift trucks, and that's the only thing we do. And, you know, wasn't that many years ago. We were doing a lot of different things, and we've really narrowed it down and have gotten good at what we do. But we want to partner up with good guys like you that can help our customers, because ultimately that's what we want, is we want our customers to get the right help that they need to grow their business so that, yes, we can sell more trucks. That's what we want. But we do want our customers to be taken care of. And as we listen to our customers talk, I mean, that insurance is a big part of it. And it's a pain point for them. And so this is going to be really good. So guys, you know, call Toby. Toby, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, my email's toby@wisdominsurance.com.
Okay.
We have our questionnaires available on junkremovalinsurance.com. It's
Oh,
both our dumpster rental and junk removal questionnaire. It's all in one. Cell phones 224-213-4648. Text me, call me,
okay.
hit me up on Facebook. I'll send you our questionnaire. You fill out the questionnaire, we're running quotes. So it's
All
that
right.
simple. So we really try to make it easy for people to find us and access us and do business with us. So
Perfect.
so that's what I would say is just reach out, and we'll get you into our process.
Okay, guys, if you want to get a hold of Toby, go down into the link in the description, and it will be right there for you to get a hold of Toby at Wisdom Insurance. So, hey, thanks a lot for joining us today. Really appreciate it. Look forward to meeting you face-to-face someday. I'm sure we will somewhere, one of the shows. So,
Absolutely.
thanks for all your information, and keep going for it. I appreciate what you're doing in this industry, so keep up the good work.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on.
Absolutely. Thank you again. Thank you for watching this video. That was a lot of good information. I highly recommend that if you're in this industry that you give Toby a call and see if he can help you in your business make more profits by lowering your premium and getting better coverage. That's what all of you guys out there need. And so we're going to put his contact information down in a link in the comments section. Just reach out to him. And you know what? Even if you're happy with who you're using, give him a shot. Maybe he can get better for you. But it's very clear. Toby knows his information. He's got a ton of knowledge in this industry. This is the only thing he does. And so he better know. So guys, take a shot. See what he has to say. And then I'd like your feedback. Let us know here how it worked for you, and if it was able to save you money. So again, thanks for watching, and be safe out there.